What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Everyday Carry for Everyday Guy. The new GL19R from Fenix that I'm going to call the 19R for the remainder of this review. We're going to look at everything from beam shots to manipulation to specs to what's in the box. So let's get to it. Let's start off with specs because it's always a good place to start. The flashlight's going to come in 1200 lumen mode. 1200 lumen gives you 11,000 candela. To switch it, basically put the flashlight on, press and hold the button and tap the other button. That'll dim it to 300 lumen mode with around 350 lumen mode with around 3,000 candela. To switch back, press and hold and tap the other side button and it goes back to 1200 lumen. For strobe in 1200 lumen, just press and hold the button from on, and from off, double tap and hold and you get strobe. Now, the thing is, 1200 lumen, from what do we call this? Is this a compact flashlight, a full-size flashlight, or a semi-compact flashlight? If we look at the size, guys, the firearm is empty and safe, so don't stress about that. Size-wise, compared to the TLR7A, which is the best compact weapon-mounted light in my opinion, it's a bit bigger. Compared to the X300 Ultra, which is the best full-size weapon-mounted light in my opinion, it's quite a bit smaller. So what do we categorize this light as? For the moment, I'm going to call it its own category, semi-compact. As a semi-compact light, putting out 1200 lumens, 11,000 candela, that's really good stats. That's more than the TLR7A and the X300, and only around 3,000 or 4,000 candela less than the X300. Let's get to beam shots. So guys, we're at 10 meters here, and as you can see, you're not going to have any problems at that range, which is your standard sort of EDC range. The beam distance is 210 meters, and that hotspot is clearly visible and does have a really nice defined hotspot. And for me, between 10 and 20,000 candela is the ideal candela range for a pistol-mounted EDC weapon light. If you're going to talk about law enforcement or military, that's something different, but I'm talking about everyday carry. I believe 10 to 20,000, and you're in that perfect range for EDC weapon lights. Also, you have a constant on if you just tap the button, and a momentary on if you press and hold the button. The light is USB Type-C rechargeable. It's got a rubberized dust cover, which I'm surprised has lasted this long, even though I've done, I don't know how many draw strokes with it, so it's really, really well made. It does have a battery level indicator that comes on when you put the flashlight on, but doesn't stay on permanently. So you get like a few seconds of understanding of where your battery is in life, and then that light switches off. In order to change the battery, you take the reflector off, and you will find yourself with a 1100 milliamp hour 18350. I do like the fact that the battery is rechargeable and removable, because if you buy yourself another one of these from Fenix, then you basically have a situation where you can keep one charged in your backpack and the other one on the in the light. And if you ever need, if you're on a course or whatever it may be, you can simply switch it out if your light dies while you're on the course. Now, I want to talk about the quick detach lever. As you can see, this QD lever sits flush with the slide of the firearm. And that's a clever departure from what we've seen from most QD levers, where there's a little nub on the side. How this works is you've got a lever, locks down, and that is it. So I think for holster manufacturers, this flashlight, this weapon light, is going to kind of be a breeze. Holster-wise, as you know, Southwest Holsters is my main jam when it comes to holsters. They have a holster for this already, so if you want to get yourself one, you absolutely can. Now, the switches are clever, which leads me to manipulation. I have found that coming out the holster, you can activate the switches with both your weapon hand trigger finger and your support hand thumb. Now, you might ask, why would you ever want to activate it with your weapon hand trigger finger? Well, there might be something in your left hand. Your left hand might be incapacitated. You might be dragging a child away from somewhere. You might have pulling your wife or pushing your wife. You might be a canine handler, and you hear something and you've got to get light on it before you can ascertain whether or not it's something you want to pull the trigger on. That's where your weapon and trigger finger comes into play, and you can very easily manipulate the light with that finger. However, I can tell you that it is better and more comfortable to activate the light with your support hand thumb. I find myself faster that way, and it's a more natural movement once I do have the light on. These switches are really unique. I've not seen switches like this before, and basically they are a forward press, and they are mounted at the bottom and sort of spring loaded towards the top. So when you put it on, there is a tactile click, but not an audible click. You might be able to hear that, but that's because I've got the light right on my mic. But you can feel the click. The switches are obviously ambidextrous, exactly the same on either side, and I do like them. They make a lot of sense. They are comfortable. They are ergonomic, and it's not, if you're running with your support hand where it should be, it's not that far from your thumb or for your thumb to travel. So you don't have to really break your grip if you are going to activate it both in momentary and constant on. Something that is very important when it comes to these weapon mounted lights, guys, is take time to understand how to manipulate these things. You will mess up initially because it is adding a step to your draw stroke, i.e. putting the light on if you're going to draw and put the light on immediately. Take time to practice that motion because you don't want the first time you do that to be the time you need to do it perfectly. Obviously, there are going to be times when your firearms are out and in the fight and you're using the light to search. If it's a situation, for example, a house break-in situation, it's late at night, it's dark, then you are going to use your weapon-mounted light to almost administratively, right? You're not going to then take out a handheld and knowing you're going into a violent situation, sacrifice a two-handed grip. But if you're going to come out of the holster with and activate the light immediately, take time to practice that. It's very, very important. A good way to do that is one reload ones. I do a ton of them because, like I say, from the holster, you're drawing the firearm, putting the light on, taking a shot, putting the light off, reloading, putting the light on, taking a shot, and putting the light off again. So you're getting maximum for your rounds and for your reps. Guys, the Fenix light isn't in South Africa just yet. I believe it's going to cost like $110, or it costs $110-ish over in the US. Don't quote me on that. Which brings us around to like 1,700 Rand. And for a light of this spec, that's a really good price. I believe Fenix SA is going to have it in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So it should be coming to South Africa. And hopefully this review prompts more people like Blades and Triggers, or also stock Fenix lights, to get the GL19R. Because I do think it's a really good mid-range alternative to the best out there. If you, the reality is, I'm not a gear elitist. I like certain things and I can afford certain things, but I do appreciate that not everybody can afford those things. In South Africa, you're looking at around 7,000-8,000 Rand for X300, and around 5,000 Rand, between 4,000 and 5,000 Rand for the TLR7A. This light coming in at around 2,000 Rand with holsters readily available for it does put it in a very good place in the market. So if you are waiting for a weapon-mounted light and you don't want to break the bank, this is a good option. I also didn't notice too much dim down. It says it should dim down after about 30 seconds of constant on, but it's a very gradual and very slow dim down to 700 lumens, which is still more than you're getting out of the TLR7A. But almost visually, you don't really pick it up because that dim down is so slow and it steps down in minute steps. Final thoughts. I think that the GL19R from Fenix is a really viable weapon-mounted light option. I've put a good few hundred rounds through it, and that's why it takes, these reviews take me so long. I buy my own ammo, guys. I'm not sponsored with any ammo sponsorship, so it takes me time to live with the light. I initially was concerned about the QD lever being so thin. Listen, I've taken this light on and off my firearm more times than most people can do it because I take different pictures of my firearm for social media and things like that. And I've done so many draw strokes and there hasn't been a single malfunction or something that even looked like a malfunction. So I wouldn't be too concerned. Guys, sorry to keep you waiting. The GL19R, as I said, it's going to be available in South Africa soon. I think it is a viable option for those of you wanting a less expensive but yet competent weapon-mounted light. That is it, guys. I will see you in the week for a vlog. Have a good week. Be safe. Train hard. Cheers. God bless.